So I'm here with Des and Karen, and as you can see I've got a leaflet here for Milang's lakeside environment. One of the little problems associated with this is that we are not quite sure whether it's the truth anymore. Des, what's happened in the last year? Because I understand you've got some great photographs comparing the water levels.
Well, I suppose in mind's eye I had an idea that what was going to be happening, and so March last year I went round and took probably about 25 to 30 odd photographs of what the lake looked like then, and then I've also done the same about May this year in comparison, not only for my own records but for anybody else that could see the lake as it is now and realise that the dramatic mistake that's been made within just the last 12 months.
Sure. And Karen, I understand that you've been responsible, being one of the movers and shakers that saw a rejuvenated area of the town that's now called the Milang wetland. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Way back in 2000 we had some concerns about the area around the lakes. We discovered that the area was part of a Ramsar site, the Coorong Lakes Alexandrina and Albert Ramsar site, and so we wanted to raise the profile of wetlands and encourage people to see an area which had previously been considered a bit of a smelly swamp as something that was really important to the ecological values around the lakes.
And just tell me, what does it mean when something is a Ramsar site? Because I'm sure that the vast majority of people don't even know that this is something special that we should be trying to protect, isn't it?
Yeah. A Ramsar is a place in Iran where an international agreement was signed which said that the signing countries would protect the values of wetlands for migratory species. And so in Australia that's really important because we have so many migratory shorebirds which come from Japan and Siberia and Asia to summer over here in the wetlands and fatten up and then go back to breed. Of particular interest here in Milang is the Japanese or Latham snipe, which comes here each year to feed in the wetlands.
Sure. And as the water is receding, are you seeing changes in migratory patterns in this area?
Certainly. There's been a reduction in the numbers of snipe that we've seen. They're a fairly secretive bird and they're not particularly obvious, but we didn't see any in the last breeding stage. And I guess what the concerning thing is, if you think of birds when they do their migratory round, have to have wetlands that they sort of hopscotch along, and so if you remove a wetland from that certain distance that they can fly, then they're going to die because they've got nowhere to stop and feed. The gap between wetlands is just too big. So if we lose the Coorong and the lakes, you know, that's just a disaster for those species.
I suppose it's a bit the same as if you're driving between Adelaide and Melbourne. You need to have a service station halfway along to get your fuel and to get something to eat perhaps, and if the birds don't have these wetlands they can't refuel and they can't eat.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, it's a serious problem. And Des, I understand you've been involved in the Historical Society here in Milang.
Yes, I suppose sort of on and off over years, probably about, or I'd say over 20 odd years. I'm a full-time member now. I'm the Vice President of the Historical Society. And so history has become one of my passions, especially here in Milang, and of course the foreshore and the lakes are all part of Milang, and people can't sort of just get over in the last 12 months how the lakes have gone down so far.
Yeah, I think that's the shocking thing, isn't it? That the water was there and then all of a sudden it's not there.
That's right, yes. And particularly now they are pumping into other areas like Lake Albert. It's got to affect this area here, and especially if they're putting in a pipeline for irrigators, it's going to be water drawn from Wellington, a new pipeline that's been suggested going in. Of course, there would be nothing running into the lakes whatsoever.
So Karen, what do you see as the future of the lake, and what do you think people can do to help change the disappearing lake, as it were?
Certainly we need some fresh water here, and we can keep praying for rain. But what we really need is a whole change to the way that people think. It's so important that our river systems are allowed to flow out to sea, that they bring with them all of the waste and pollutants from down the river. If the estuary of the Murray-Darling Basin or river dies, that's just going to be like a creeping cancer that's going to travel right up the river. So it's going to impact not just on us but on all the communities up the river. So it's going to take concerted action from all Australians that have anything to do with the basin. I think it needs to be taken out of political hands, and we need to listen to the scientists like Mike Young, who are giving us some clear advice about the sorts of actions that we should be taking right now.
And Des, with the historical knowledge that you have as a resident in Milang for some 50 years, has there ever been a time in the history of Milang where the water has effectively disappeared like this?
Well, there's only one gentleman that I've come across that said, I can't remember the exact year, but he said he had seen it almost to this stage, but most of us that are around here, and I think probably Karen as well, I've never seen it like this before.
Sure.
Since I've come down. I've been living in Milang for 12 years, but been associated with Milang for about 50. Yeah, no, I've never seen it as bad as what it is at the moment.
And the community spirit, are people rallying around this as a cause to work together to try and fix this?
Well, everybody's concerned about it, because Milang has been known over years for the only town on Lake Alexandrina. And sort of part of the lake is our sort of, if you like call it, our heritage here, our that can invite visitors and tourism here. And okay, granted we've had a little bit of tourism coming in here taking photographs of the lake at the moment, but it's nice to see boats on the lake, of which we haven't seen for the last 12 months.
And I understand there was always the Milang to Goolwa boat race?
That's right, that was a very popular event. It was from Milang to Goolwa, and then a few weeks later it was from Goolwa back to Milang, and that was one of the highlights of the year, because that's where some of the organisations had food stalls down on the foreshore, and there was always a party, a band and that type of thing, and we're not having that now at the moment.
Sure. Well, it's not such a good story, but we can only hope that the water that's out there in the lake starts to be something that comes back. And thank you both very much, Karen and Des, for your presentation and ideas about what we can do about the lake. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.